Call the meeting to order. Ask you to rise for invocation. Remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Father, again, with thankful hearts that we come to you this evening and ask you for your wisdom, for your knowledge, and your guidance in all that we do here this evening. As the people who have been entrusted with this position by the citizens of this county. Help us all in all that we do, that those might be the best things, the best actions taken in each and every thing that is brought before us. In Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is the approval of our agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a multitude of seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve the minutes of the March 4th, 2014 Commissioners meeting. Any questions or corrections? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. I'll ask that all public comments be limited to the agenda items only, and it should be noted that documents from this meeting, as are all meetings, are located in the clerk's office and on the Board of Commissioners website. Having no old business, we move forward to new business. First item is consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding for Telemon Corporation.
Good evening. The memorandum of understanding for the Telemon Corporation is a representative of what they call the Workforce Investment Act Youth Grantee Program, and it's for coastal workforce services. It's supported by Telemon Corporation. We've been involved with this program since 2008. As grant monies become available for the program, local eligible youth are given the opportunity to have work experiences with local employers in the areas of interest, if they are available and if it's applicable. Specifics to the program are the fact that the Board of Commissioners only supplies the work experience within the facilities. So what I will tell you with this is that we are not the fiscal agent for the grant. We do not pay the participants, Telemon does. All basically we ever do is verify that the student came in, did the job they're supposed to do, like on a time card, sign it and send it back. They are also, all the insurances and everything are taken care of through the Telemon Corporation. The length of the work experience depends on the grant monies that the Workforce Investment Act receives to give out. I can say from past experiences, we've had as time frames from 1 week to 5 weeks, but I've never seen it gone on any longer than that. Effingham County departments that have participated in the past are Human Resources, Finance, Recreation, the Solicitor's Office, GIS, and just General Administration. I'm just asking for you to approve it for this year. This is the same memorandum that we signed over the past few years. They did not have it originally, and now they do have a memorandum of understanding, so this is why we're bringing it in front of you. And I'm just asking for approval to participate again for 2014.
Any questions from the board? Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item, consideration to approve reimbursement for damage to Mr. Brian Corley's vehicle. Mr. Corley here.
I gave him a call this afternoon to remind him.
You should have been here because it went up $80 since our last meeting. Was tire and rim. For $300 2 weeks ago, now it's $380.
Well, is it the board's desires to wait until such time as Mr. Corley will come, or do y'all want to take this up and make a decision on it without?
I think we should take self-action and move on.
That would be my opinion. He presented his information last time.
Was there anything else that he was supposed to be gathering? Why, what was the reason that we?
It was just a discussion item.
That's right.
He made his presentation last time, but because it was a discussion item and not up for consideration, we moved it to this meeting.
It was partly the county's fault and it was partly his fault because he used a whole reserve and just filled up with water.
But we did address the problem, so we can notify us.
And we'll turn over the insurance and have somebody deny it.
Right. Claim was
ACCG looked at it.
denied. ACCG looked
Denied
at
it,
it.
correct?
They said the
Yes.
county has sovereign immunity.
Any questions, discussion? Do I have a motion on the floor?
I make a motion to not approve the payment of $380 for reimbursement.
Not to,
That would be alternate number 2.
To not approve the payment of $380 for reimbursement
Could
of
you,
repair damages.
would you have a problem with change, since the amount has changed from the time he brought it, that amount or any amount?
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Would that be your motion?
To not approve payment.
To not approve payment for reimbursement of the damages.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve to make corrections to the previously approved 2014 qualification fees. Ms. Statsman, you want to speak?
On January 7th, the board approved to set qualifying fees for each county and district office to be filled in their upcoming primary. The fee is established for judge and state court of Effingham County was incorrectly noted as $3,607.56, and the fee for solicitor of state court of Effingham County was incorrectly noted as $3,066.42. The fees were actually, the state court judge fee was based on the salary of the Supreme Court judge, and the state court solicitor of state court fee was based on that of the state court judge. So it got reversed. Based on what is the allocation for the state court judge, 3% of that allocation is $3,066.42. And based on what is the allocation for the solicitor of state court, that fee is $2,606.46, 3%. All the other fees were double checked, they were all fine. It was just these two that got reversed.
And as we discussed, the board took action on January 7th, and those facts and findings given to the board at that time, it states the qualifying fees are 3% of the base salary. So the commission took action based upon that. It's just that we were basing it on the Superior Court judge's salary rather than the state court's salary as we should have been. So our action tonight would be to still be 3% of the salary. We're just using the correct salary.
Yes, sir.
I had a long discussion because it wasn't very clear to me. Any other questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1 and make the corrected change.
Next item, consideration to approve and authorize the chairman to execute certificate for the governor's office of highway safety grant. Ms. Joanna.
Yes, sir. Good evening. We have participated with this grant for the last several years. It provides equipment for our traffic safety enforcement and education. They have secured this grant again this year. We just got notice of that this last week in time to put it on the agenda. It will require a budget amendment. We do have to comply with a list of rules and regulations. We have done that successfully the last few years. I do not see any issues or problems with it, simply that it affords us additional revenue to pay for some of the things that the sheriff's office wants to do. So we ask your approval of it. We will bring before you a budget amendment, but generally this is a reimbursement grant, so we don't know exactly what that amount will be. It will be up to the $20,000.
This is authorizing me to sign an application to get money.
The application has already been put in. We have been awarded it. This is actually for us to accept that award.
I never have a problem with accepting money.
Is there an increased cost in meeting the rules and regulations?
There is time and effort in that. I will say that probably we spend somewhere between 10 to maybe 15 hours on this particular grant, complying with the rules and regulations of it. For the amount of money that we're getting, I believe it's worth the time and the effort.
Did you have to fill out the application, or the sheriff's department do that?
Actually, the sheriff's department does that. What we do is basically to certify those receipts, make the payment of those receipts, then certify the information that's being sent back to them to request that reimbursement. So there's just a good bit of paperwork to do.
Well, I just noticed alternative ones that approved the application for and acceptance of it, so we've already applied for it, we've been awarded the money, so we need a motion to accept the fund.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And then the budget amendment will come later.
That's correct.
And then they will reimburse the county, right?
That's correct. This is a reimbursement, so we have to expend the funds first and then request the reimbursement.
That's it, sir. Motion? Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1 for approval of the application and acceptance of the grant as submitted. Staff recommendation.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve a resolution authorizing the chairman to execute loan modification agreements for 2 GFA loans.
Mr. Chairman, this has been discussed all with different boards too. It's been on back since 2006, I believe. Discussions with 2 GFA loans. And I think the basic principle that they're trying to get rid of is the elimination of the letters of credits and the debt service accounts from these 2 particular loans. We're currently holding did hold a $2.77 billion debt service account. In 2009, I believe, the actual documentation that came back from GFA. 2011, I'm sorry. GFA agreed to certain things that we were going to change. One was the elimination of that debt service account and all the letters of credits on these 2 particular loans. We have 4. And the other thing, we would now have to hold $860,934 as a minimum balance in our water and sewer enterprise fund, but it's not a sole debt service account, and eliminates all letters of credit. And with that, that's basically the changes in these 2 particular loan documents. Most of y'all had an opportunity in January to go meet with GFA. I believe y'all all had an opportunity to ask questions of them, and it was decided at that time to move forward, and that's what this is, moving forward.
Did you have an opportunity to mention anybody the one thing that I found that I had found after the fact that I was concerned about? and I'll make mention of this, and you guys can kick it around and see what your comfort level is, or do you agree or disagree, but if I definitely want to make the modifications that we've all talked about, that we talked about in the meeting with GFA. It's been a long time coming. There's one thing I had an issue with, that if we were to vote on it tonight, I would personally want to make a motion that we strike this from it and then agree to it and then see if they agree with the strike. Or we can postpone it to the next agenda and get it better addressed, but it's up to you. But on the front page, on the statement of terms, item number 3, representations and warranties, it says, and I don't know if this was presented to us that day or if I didn't catch it the day that we talked, but it says to induce the lender to either enter into this modification, the borrower is hereby representing covenant to the lender that each representation or warranty of the borrower set forth in the loan agreement is hereby restated and reaffirmed as true and correct on the original date, basically. There's a few things that, typically, that's why I did ask the question in the meeting, is this an addendum? Is this only an addendum, or we re-sign the whole loan? And they said it's just an addendum. And we talked about the benefits that we were getting and removing the instruments, the issues that are there, which I think need to be removed. But with having this particular thing added to it, it's a reaffirmation of the entire loan. Normally when you do an addendum, you don't have to reaffirm the whole loan because the loan stands on itself and the addendum is just the changes. And there are a few things within the loan that I would not, the original loan, that while those commissioners at the time agreed with, I would not want to at this time. If you have had an opportunity to read all the loan documents, the loan's still in place. And so I don't understand why we need to reaffirm every single thing on every page of the loan when it's still in place. So I would think that number 3 shouldn't be a requirement to get the other changes that we've all found necessary because of the law anyway.
Elizabeth, have you had a chance to look at that? Is there a legal reason that they would ask? Because I have the same concern. And I'm not an attorney, I practice without a license. Hereby restated, I think is okay, but whenever they said and reaffirmed, I got a problem with that too.
Well, if we're making modifications to what was originally stated, I don't think that they would have an issue with us changing this paragraph, because we're not going to be reaffirming the original terms, we'll be changing them. Honestly, to me, this looks like boilerplate language that they just stick in a contract.
And I don't know what's the difference between restated and reaffirmed. I mean, I understand reaffirmed, are you saying restated means less than reaffirmed? It's like a double word, same thing. And
I don't think it makes any difference in this particular term. I think they're just two ways of saying the same thing.
Basically, it boils down to, and because the loan package is very detailed, unless we were to take the time to actually really thoroughly come through it, I know if I'm going to put my name to it, I want to know that I'm comfortable putting my name to it. And I know of at least one thing in there where they represented that no other parties had any rights to any of the infrastructure. I don't believe that's the case, so I don't want to sign on saying that. And if there are other things, there may be other things. There are other things, I'm sure. So, all I want to do is amend the unnecessary requirements, get those changed as we discussed. And again, that's why when we met with them, I asked them, are we actually re-signing the whole new loan, or are we just getting these amendments as asking? They said just the amendments, so I wasn't aware they were asking us. But, so, I don't know why we would not. Do you feel that if we struck number 3, that they would not accept it?
I think it would be, if you struck number 3 wholeheartedly, then they may come back and say, no, we need this. But I think if we were to talk with them and maybe restate it, it might go over better than just striking it entirely and sending the package back and say, here's what we agreed to.
Mm-hmm. And I'm open if we want to postpone this to the next meeting and try to have a discussion with them up front first, just so that they understand what the position is. Because if they ask us to use the word restate, and restate means the same thing as reaffirm, then that's the same problem. So I don't know what the wordage needs to be, but maybe you guys can work that out.
Right, and this is the first time this has come before me, so
Yeah,
but I understand your concern, because if we're changing the terms of the loan, we're not going to be reaffirming the original terms. So that needs to be reflected.
Well, there's no time constraint on this
Yes.
that we're dealing with, so
Yeah, I'm comfortable with,
so let's just take it to the next meeting.
it's okay with me. Is there something?
No, I just might be want to table it to the next meeting or table it to us resolve, because I'm not.
I'd like to table, I'd like to get, let's try to get it resolved, so let's table it to the next
I can
meeting.
give us like 2 or 4 days to actually resolve it, to get it back in the process, to get it to y'all's books.
You want to do the next meeting?
April 1st, 15th. Yeah.
It's April 15th?
Yes, ma'am. Well, that'd be the, not the next meeting, but the following, I believe that'll give us time to get it worked out.
I don't think Chief will works fast enough for us to get it resolved by the next meeting.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's all.
that'd be fine with me.
First.
April 15th is the date?
April 15th.
That we did the second.
But for the record, is there any other clarifications or concerns from any other commissioner other than this that we need to address? So while we're addressing them, let's get them all addressed. I don't want, if somebody else has some heartburn over something, I don't want to deal with this and then come back to another meeting and let's have it.
And I didn't catch this until late, and just so that I'm clear, you know, I just want to make the changes that we agreed on, which is what those additional requirements were, period.
Well, the original loan pledged the full taxing authority of the,
Taxpayers, and that was.
you know, the
that's
taxpayer,
their
that's
pledge.
why I couldn't, you know, agree
Might not, we not,
But
to
it's
affirm on that loan.
But would not number 2, no other waivers or amendments except for the amendments expressly set forth and referred to in section 1 above, the note, the loan agreement shall remain unchanged and in full force and effect.
make
So
3 unnecessary.
3 is totally unnecessary.
That's what I believe.
It does sort of make it, it seems unnecessary.
But then it's a catcher, it's unnecessary, but if you put it in there, then we're doing that.
Right, but I mean,
So we
I
can.
would hate to have y'all agree to strike something and then send it to JIFA and have them send it right back and say, we're not agreeing to this. Without at least giving them a heads up, this is why we want to strike this provision, and to let them agree to it. Because I'm just afraid if you do that, that they'll just deny it.
Well, we don't want to make them mad.
Right, we don't want to make them mad, and I think it would be easier to resolve it on the front end versus go back and forth after the fact.
Fine with me. Would you, are you may email them?
I'll get with Toss and we'll get in contact with them.
Will you copy us on the correspondence so we can stay in the loop about what's being said?
Sure.
All right.
Are you just- are you
Is there any other issues other than this that we need to address? All right. So, can I have a motion to table this to April 15th?
I'll make a motion that we table this item until April 15th and give staff and the attorney the opportunity to work with JIFA on removing or modifying section 3.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve civil engineer travel for title. That's 6?
6, yes, sir.
I forgot the Roman numerals. ADA. And as I told Toss, I wasn't sure whether we even needed this on here or not. It was my understanding we had already
Okay.
approved him to go get these certifications. Am I correct?
Well, yes.
All right.
We did.
But
We okayed him to get the certification, so I guess he's got to go somewhere to do it, so.
Yeah, there's 3 of them that y'all recall, and just out of an abundance of caution, I just want to make sure everybody understood, that's all.
And the first one is this Thursday.
Yes,
Or the
27th, it's coming Thursday, a week from 2 days from now.
And they haven't scheduled the other ones.
No, sir, not that I've been able to find.
Okay. I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? They can be officially certified. All right, next item, consideration to sign an application and permit for special encroachment for Tusculum Fire Station improvements.
Mr. Chairman, we've been working on, our staff has been working on construction of a fire station in Tusculum. You may recall we brought before you the last meeting proposal for geotechnical and foundation. This is nothing more than an application with the Florida Department of Transportation to install a driveway pipe adjacent to State Route 17 and to actually put the driveway in. It's their standard boilerplate application that comes before y'all. Anything we ever do is encroachment into their right of way. And we're just asking for permission to allow the chairman to sign this, so we move forward with the construction.
Any questions, comments? Motion?
Normal stuff, I'll make a motion to approve. Alternate number one.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve a list of recreation projects to include in the amended impact fee study.
This is a continuation of the conversation we had a couple of meetings ago, where we were soliciting input from the board as to projects to be funded with remaining impact fees. Subsequent to that meeting, February 18th is when this board actually met. February 24th, the recreation board met and came up with a list of projects of their own. On February 26th, that list was emailed to each of you all. You should have received a copy of it, had an opportunity to look at it. And at this point, we're just circling back around to ask for the board to actually approve a list of projects to be included in the amended impact fee study, so the staff can finish that finish the amendments to the study and bring that back for approval. You have in front of you a list from the recreation board. You'll notice there are 3 projects that are shown in strike through. Those are the ones that the attorney felt would not meet the requirements of capacity-driven projects. The rest stand as submitted by the recreation board. And staff just asking for your approval of a list. It gives some guidance to us staff. Move forward.
Now, there's the 3 on the front, and there's these other 2. What's the second page here?
Correct. Yes, sir. Playgrounds at Sand Hill and Baker, batting cages at Sand Hill, soccer goals, and pitching machines.
All right, help me out with the math. Don't we have, what, about 230,000?
231.
231?
Yes, sir.
And this is 141 of it?
Correct. If you recall previously, one of the projects that was stated was Atlas and McCall. McCall is somewhat in here in the restrooms, but again, that's something the attorney felt did not drive capacity.
What about the batting cages there?
At McCall,
Yeah.
I think that would be acceptable. I mean, I think that would be done. Those just weren't submitted in the project, the rec board. I know y'all have representatives here on McCall forum, but yeah, I believe if batting cages certainly increase capacity. I think we could do that.
What's the board's thought? We could approve $50,000 in SPLOST funding over for the Atlas project, possibly taking and shifting those funds from SPLOST to impact fees, so we can go ahead and move forward and spend those funds over there. That would free up on the SPLOST side.
That's just adding this to the list, right?
The Atlas is already on the list, but that's, whenever we captured that, it was SPLOST funding. By moving it over, it was clear on these impact fees, which some of these have to be spent.
I guess that's what I meant, move it to the impact fee list.
Well, correct. Now, this is a list that recreation generated. You can take none of these projects, you can take all of these projects, you can take all of these plus 1,000 more. And this is not a fiscally constrained document, the impact fee study. In other words, we don't have to have $231,000 worth of projects.
Yeah.
Right.
We can have $6 million worth of projects. They have to be on that, in that study to be able to spend funds on there. So the amount of projects can be greater than the amount of funding available. We just can't spend the funds unless it's in that study.
Okay, so let me ask you this. It says a approval of a list of recreation projects to be included in the impact fee study. I just make sure I understand. Are these already included in the short term that we were going to pay out something else and it's just moving this over and paying it from impact fees? Is that what you're saying? These are already approved projects and we're talking about just moving them over to this venue?
They're all in the short-term work program, which has been approved by the board, although the board has not given specific approval to move forward with any of these projects.
Okay.
If that makes sense, they're in future funding years, the way that we broke the short-term work program out.
This would speed this up.
It would speed it up, that's correct.
Right, the impact fee money needs to be spent.
Correct.
Some of it needs to be spent in a timely manner now.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm interested in moving that $50,000, moving forward with the survey, as far as the topo and the hydrographic survey at Atlas. And then we can add these projects as well.
So technically, while you're saying we could have more, we need to not have less. I mean, we need to spend the impact money, and if this is 140, we've got 240-ish?
231.
Okay, yeah, okay. So,
If it's not on this study, it cannot be, the impact fees cannot be used for it.
Correct.
Correct. So it's got to be on here to even have a shot.
but that was, is that correct?
And what?
But Atlas was?
No, Alice is not. It was discussed at the previous time when we were in here. If you recall, this board, I believe Commissioner Floyd said that Alice is something he'd like to see go forward. At that time, we postponed the vote. The rec board met, they compiled this list. We now have a list of this. And again, any other project you want, it could be Alice, it could be the McCall batting cages you just recommended, it could be
So we
a
can
new
add,
park.
so we can add Atlas tonight, or we can't?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
That's what I got. Is that fair?
We have $231,000. These two pages right here is $141,000.
Estimated now, Adam brought up a good point, these are estimates. You know, some of these may come in higher, some may come in lower.
We'd want to estimate higher.
So we roughly have 90,000 roughly-ish.
What would batting cages cost at McCall?
It's on here. It's
And I see restrooms, I don't see batting cages, I see batting cages.
Well,
Oh,
there's batting cages at Sand Hill, I would presume it would be the same price if you were going to do it with
Well,
McCall.
what
Okay.
I'd like to make a suggestion if we could, okay? Based on what I'm hearing, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. Based on what I'm hearing, I'd like that to be my recommendation to approve the list, add Atlas Sand, and add, in a way that we could state, additional work and repairs at McCall. McCall's in bad shape, in my opinion. So, do you have to exactly specify if it's, you know,
I think that staff could work with the attorney through the process as long as it's clear what the board intends us to put in there. I believe that's fine. We can work on that verbiage as far as what the totality of the improvements at McCall are. Again, as long as the board's clear.
It's virtually provided zero capacity right now.
yeah.
Because this study will still have to come back to y'all, so it's not like we can hide anything from you. Whatever we put in the list, you will see again before it's approved.
Okay.
Are we
Now-
comfortable on these estimates or on the high side?
Mr. Morgan, I'd rather refer to him.
Yeah.
Anybody want to speak?
I did prepare them, so I just.
Can I speak, Mr. Chairman? I'm Clarence Morgan, the Recreation Director. The batting cage at McCall will have to be cyclone fence, okay? Because be cyclone fence because of vandalism down there. And I had no problem when we talked in the board meeting, a regular batting cage will be cut in pieces in weeks, okay? Restroom is desperately needed with steel doors, cages on the doors where they can't break into it. That's why we don't have any now, because you repair them today, in a week gone, in a week they be tore up. And only way we can do it is give coaches keys when they go down and practice where they can lock and unlock the restroom. The batting cage would have to be cyclone fence. And I built them over the years with cyclone fence. And probably looking at $8,000 to $10,000 for one batting cage at Sand Hill. At McCall with cyclone fence. And most of these prices are high. Only one may not be high would be the handicap accessible playground. And we don't have any in Effingham County, nowhere. When you get in accessible, handicap accessible, you talk about money. So it could be a few thousand less than what we need. I try to anticipate high, but I don't know if I anticipate high enough on that one. Yeah.
Well, I think Paul said it's actually going to be better for us to be high than low, because if we're low, we're going to have to add something. If we're high, then we'll figure out what to do about that.
Yeah, just like, and I know Thompson, his staff and the attorney said that bleachers wouldn't work, but we did desperately need bleachers at the old middle school, which we've been given for a complex. So I would like to see maybe $15,000, $20,000 added to that where we can get bleachers, because when we built Sand Hill and Baker, we added no money for bleachers. We had borrowed bleachers from Pioneer and Rec and Elkwell to do bleachers. So when we do the one at Old Middle School, we do need some bleachers, and with $50,000 with the survey, we still got a little bit of playroom to add some bleachers for the Old Middle School complex.
Well, how would bleachers not be part of capacity? And I would think if you have to have more.
I talked with our meeting, we talked about it, and that's why I asked Toss to leave them, the strike, what the attorney of strike, leave it on the list where we could discuss it today at the meeting. And
I believe adequate capacity, it means not improving existing facilities, but creating new facilities.
yeah, and I would think capacity, and I know.
Is that right, Tom?
I know the key word is capacity.
I can't recall exactly what Eric's concern with that was. I'm trying to look for the email to see,
And the way I've read the law was,
It's additional,
Yeah.
it's not only that, but it's additional capacity based on that growth projection.
Yeah,
They can already use the facility, they just don't have a place to sit.
right.
So a bleacher is just giving somebody that's already there a place to sit.
it's an
Right.
improvement.
But look at it this way, if we're taking some of these items out of SPLOSH funded projects and able to spend it here to get rid of these impact fees, then in a roundabout way is going to put more money back into that project that may be able.
And that's what we're gonna come ask y'all, if we can just pursue a couple things that we had on the original list, that we took off, when
Right.
Toss came to our meeting, that we took off because
Right.
Toss convinced us and the board that we didn't need to put them there because they wouldn't meet the capacity bill. So, and I will say now, I know some of y'all are new to the board, only money on impact fees that had been spent in recreation was to buy Pine Knoll Ballpark. $481,000. That's the only money been spent from impact fees since it started on recreation.
Okay, so it's nothing at Sandhill was impact fee?
Ma'am?
Nothing at Sandhill was impact fee?
No, ma'am. It was only the Pine Knoll Ballpark, the land. And that was $481,000, I think.
For the, if I don't know what I said, shifting to 50,000, that would help, right?
Yeah. If we put 50 there and then put 25 for McCall for restroom and batting cage, cyclone fence, got to be cyclone fence, because I think we wasting money, taxpayer money, if we put anything.
Well, the problem you probably have with vandalism at McCall is because it's in such disrepair, there's no proper use of the property.
But
There's nobody there.
But
so
it's been that way,
property.
Mr. Keith announced about 15 years, 20 years at McCall. It hadn't got any better.
Yeah, it is because it's vacant a lot. Like the
That's what I mean,
the more
if you
it's
can make
used,
something and have people there, it's
And-
gonna
yeah,
reduce the vandalism.
But, not saying nothing about neighborhood, but over the years, there had been some
Let's don't.
terrible vandalism at McCall Ballpark.
Yeah, yeah.
And when it used to be Westwood Ballpark.
I have to.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we put 50,000 for Atlas, 25 for McCall, and then 20 in bleachers. I think we right at $240,000.
And the 25 for call would be for restrooms.
And cyclone back cage.
But I don't see a way to put 20 in bleachers in this right here. Do we? You keep saying.
Even if we include the old middle school facilities, a new facility we getting with bleachers qualified in.
the concern that, excuse me, that Eric had was exactly what Commissioner Mason just said. Although it may make it more comfortable, it
Right.
doesn't increase capacity. You can still stand and watch the games. Understand, but you can still stand and watch the games. It doesn't increase your ability.
Okay, then let's put the 20 on the handicap accessible playground.
And where's that going?
Now you go into Baker,
Where?
in Baker.
That's up here,
Huh?
that's on the list right here.
Yeah, but I said that could be the only low number I have.
I think that probably is low, the 50,000 to create
Yeah.
accessible.
More I thought about and hearing y'all talk, it probably need to be 75,000.
It is probably possible to spend that whole amount of money.
We could spend all $231,000 on it and still not have a lot when it comes to playground.
Let me ask you, when it comes to McCall, everywhere to park and driving in there is just a mess. Is that something that, I think I sent you a text about, or a message about that, an email about that.
Yeah, it had been fixed 3 times in last year, and if rain keep coming and people go in and keep sloshing it. So I think only hope we got is put crush and run there.
I was gonna ask about,
Because it been fixed, and it just got fixed recently, and it's already a mud hole.
Asphalt millings, what would it cost to get some asphalt millings in there so that that's not such a problem?
I'm off the top of my head, to see about how big it is.
Not the same price, same price question.
Yeah, but couldn't that come out splosh?
No ash.
Could that come out splosh?
I got plenty of ash if y'all want some ash, or clay. We got a lot of clay.
Clay won't help.
Get rid of.
'Cause I had the same problem at Pine Knoll. Every time we fill the holes up, it rained and then become a mud pit for people coming in and out.
Cost disruptive.
If we're increasing the capacity, I think that works, but not just fixing, that's maintenance. That doesn't qualify with this.
Okay.
Well, the fear of vandalism does not need to be a part. We need to just deal with that.
Figure out how to prevent it.
Yeah,
Come back
well,
vandalism.
the way to deal with it, Mr. Kiefer, is to put locks on, and put bars and give coaches keys and not leave them open up.
You know, I mean,
Cause you can't leave, we had to do the same thing at Pine Knoll.
County, we've got that, we've got it, yeah.
Well, Pine Knoll, we had to start locking everything because of vandalism. Now, Tussie King, we leave them open today, we fine. But if we leave Pine Knoll open during the day, next day or two, we'll find it tore up.
Right. And I've ridden with the sheriff a few times, and over Pine Knoll is a major point that they have to
Yeah.
go all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how certain areas go through a cycle. And Pine Knoll and McCall has been the two that gone through cycles recently over the years. You know, Sand Hill and Rex and Baker was such at one time, and Tussie King and Clio have been good.
All right, what's the dollar amount that we can reasonably spend at McCall Road? 25? I've heard that.
I think you're gonna do the crush run like Ms. Jones said. I think you probably need to put 30, 35.
That's not part of this. Like, we dealing with the impact fees,
That would be
not
the
maintenance.
He just said that it could be covered under
Okay.
this, is what he believes.
Yeah.
So we're talking about batting cages, we're talking about lights, or we
Lights certainly qualify, we believe, if you would, it's not late, is it?
No.
We believe you can do lighting on the field.
Lighting does limit the use.
Not necessarily security
Yeah.
lighting, but lighting on the fields allows games to be played after dark, so therefore you're increasing capacity.
Batting cages, restroom improvements, and field lights.
Yeah, feel like you're talking about $150,000 to $200,000. And we don't, and we got a single ballpark now we don't use because of staffing and where it takes. We practice them, all the practice at Annette, but we don't play game because it takes me one person to staff each of them when I have game. Rec Park, I have one for 3 fields, Sand Hill, I have 2 for 5 fields.
Now, you have lighted batting cages at a much lower cost.
Yeah.
We just have one single line of batting cage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
All right,
What about the photo, what I
yeah.
said?
Cover will be, you know,
we're
Thanks.
trying,
Okay, getting there.
I'm getting out of this. I'm trying to deal with one.
Alice, in there, I think.
So we have 141,000. If we up McCall from 7 to 25, that'd be 18, that'd be 159,000.
I'm looking
And then
for
50,000 for Atlas would be 209,000.
we're trying to hit a number. Can't we just do well over?
I don't think.
Maybe we just need to-
Yeah.
I would recommend you focus on projects, because again, take the Effingham Parkway, for example, it was in there amongst many other things, it was a $120 million project. We haven't collected anything near that, so, you know, we can certainly, we recognize that not everything we do is going to be funded with impact fees. We'll have to spend SPOS dollars, general fund dollars, there'll be other dollars that come in. We just need to focus on making sure we have adequate amount of projects to cover all that funding.
And quick,
So if we add Atlas Sand and McCall and what I got there, then we would have to put no figures, right?
See, Atlas can free up some other SPOS money, right?
Right.
That was already allocated.
Right.
That was the point he was making about the 50 bleachers later on the back end. Okay, so,
Yeah, our goal is to come back to y'all in the next month and ask to release some splash fund where we can proceed with the safety netting, a couple of projects we need, and we can put bleachers in that.
as far as I'm concerned, we had that big meeting together, you know, we got a lot accomplished there. And
Oh, that was a great meeting, no doubt about it.
But short of, what I'm trying to get is a feel from this board as to where to spend this money. I mean,
I'm good with adding the Atlas 50 and the McCall 25, and that gets us up to where we need to be roughly, right?
Over 200.
You use the 50 over at Atlas and then use the rest of it
And
for,
and approve any extra towards the handicap?
Well, if we up the handicap accessible playground, we'd probably be up to 250.
I mean, it's
Or close to it.
It's an estimate
You
anyway.
gotta do
so-
it. We'll revise the estimate before we put it in the study.
Okay,
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
all right. And the Atlas site, we are not talking about spending that for specific items. We're talking about encumbering that money? Is that?
I believe what Commissioner Fuller was saying is the board previously approved the use of $50,000 in the short-term work program. Those funds are SPOS funds. So rather than spending SPOS funds, let's spend that $50,000 out of impact fee, which frees that $50,000 back up. It's just a matter of what bucket we're taking the funds out of.
But he's asking about going ahead and starting or just?
I'm asking, what I would like to ask is we move forward with the topographic and hydrologic survey, so we know what we have, so we can start looking at what we can do with that. We keep kicking this around, the money's there, I would like to start with that. I mean, we can't even start, not knowing, we don't know what we have.
There's no reason not to, right?
As I understand it, we have to encumber all of these funds at some, now.
Correct. And
So what this board needs to do is to encumber those funds now.
Mhm.
We do not have to state where they're going to be spent now. So what we are saying is we want to encumber $50,000 of these impact fees to be used at Atlas. We don't have to say for what.
We don't.
We don't even have to specify Atlas, I don't believe.
and then the rest of it goes to the rec
I
department for
think,
these other
the
projects.
only concern he has is that everybody has an understanding that he's trying to be sure that we actually start something.
I understand.
Yeah.
And I will say now, board meeting, it was a lot of discussion of trying what would it take to get that at a fishing place for people to go fishing on a regular basis.
About
Yeah.
400,000.
And we didn't know, and this would tell us a little bit where we stand at.
One of the biggest things in the community assessment that was done that people wanted Effingham County improved is recreation, period. So we're in support of it. And, you know, if you're saying we don't have any handicap accessible playgrounds, it's
Zero.
awesome to have one. I think
And the nicer it is, the better we be off.
it's a big plus for us to get these things started.
Well, why don't we use the $50,000 at Atlas and the rest of the $231,000 minus the $50,000, let it go to the things that he's been talking about that he wants. And I'll
I
take
think
care of
if we
the
approve the
230.
list,
Plus the 25 at McCall.
And McCall is listed, and I have, and Austin tell you, I have batting cages on.
Anybody else got anything else they want to say? Craig, you came up here.
I'm good tonight.
All right. I think what we need is a motion to spend, to encumber, and help me out at finance or what, to encumber all remaining funds in our impact fees, specifying 50,000 of that to Atlas Sand and the rest of those funds to these projects presented on these two pages.
With the addition.
With the addition of $25,000.
Let's say that was 37 is the cost.
We can send McCall on here, but it's strictly through, so.
The batting cages at McCall won't cost 37 because you just probably gonna put one or two cyclone fence.
But if we cover it lights, it would.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna say that, then we're gonna manual, when we say that, we're adding under McCall, restroom improvements, because it's stricken through, there's nothing out McCall for this list, so if we approve this list, so we're adding.
minus the ones that stricken.
Yeah.
Well, it was on the list one time. We got stricken by the attorney.
Yeah, so if we approve the list, what's stricken isn't.
I don't know that we can fund restroom improvements with these funds.
I don't either.
That's what she just said.
I think all that y'all need to do tonight is approve the list, and you can add the $50,000 for Atlas, but you don't need to encumber anything tonight. You can approve the list and move it to the impact fee study and take it out of the short-term work program, move it to impact fee so the money can be encumbered on these projects once we determine what would be the best order to go in and exactly what needs to be spent.
This vote tonight will let us move the money from one account to another,
Yes.
and what are you saying the motion needs to be? To be clear.
You can just approve the list as it reads here, and with the extra $50,000, if you want to add batting cages at McCall, you can add that to the list as well.
But you don't have to attach dollar values with it
You do
either.
not have to attach a dollar value.
No, those will be done through the study, through the impact fee study. We'll put dollars on it. That study will then come back to the board. The board will vote on that study. After that study's been approved, every one of these will have to come back to the board individually before you authorize us to do them, and there will be contracts. So you'll see these many times before there's actually any dollars spent.
We're just seeking
So the study can technically show Atlas at 500,000 to make it full, and then you're just using 50
I would
of
recommend
it.
that you do that.
And you have to remember that that study then shows percentages of use on each one of those projects. So at the point that the study is amended, then we can go back and begin to encumber by contract, by, various means to show that those funds are actually encumbered. But the first piece in that step is to amend the study.
That's correct.
And this helps you amend the study by understanding this in advance, is that right?
We have to know what projects to include in the study. They have to be listed by name.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think everybody's on.
So everything under McCall was stricken. So if we want to add, we want McCall on the list for at least batting cages.
Batting cages.
You just add
lighting,
batting cages
and
without a
cover.
number next to it. Just add batting cages at McCall.
No money.
You can have
When we add Atlas, no money, we got
And
it.
you can add Atlas with no money.
Just approve the list and add the McCall batting cages and the Atlas.
I want to clarify, we do want to shift the Atlas. Do we want to leave the Atlas 50,000 also as SPOS and capture 50,000 over
Well, I
here?
don't think we need to pull what it's doing is splosh into this motion.
Okay, that's cool. I'll keep it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
But again, I think everybody's cool with doing that.
Okay. Let me try this. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Bob.
Make a motion to approve the rec board list with the addition of the batting cage with lights and cover at McCall Ballpark and also Atlas property improvements.
$60,000.
No, so we're not doing much.
We didn't, that's not the motion.
They'll give you that.
Okay.
And I will second that motion.
Thank you.
I'll third it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Unanimous.
Okay, may I ask one question? When I come back in April, one of the projects would be to put restroom at McCall. So just put that in your thoughts, because we need them bad down there. Yeah, and that'll come out of SPOS.
We take that out of SPOS.
Right, yeah. But that'd be the project, one project, because that one is needed bad, and
We'll go ahead and get on the agenda for April to
Right.
use SPOS money.
right,
Yep.
okay.
That's the one thing.
Thank y'all for your time.
Yep.
Claire, before you, while you're here,
Yeah.
I have a lot of people asking me, how, do you schedule McCall? Because they would like to take.
Yes,
out there. And I don't
sir.
know.
We keep it regular. Right now, Rankin has asked to use it for 3 weeks, ending this coming Saturday, and then we keep a schedule of
Okay.
all outfield. And if people don't call it, then we not know, we don't think it's being used. And that's the problem we have with McCall. I think more people use it than is on our schedule.
You know, when you've got kids coming up and you're going to the field and you're familiar with them, and so now for the first time I have a grandbaby playing baseball at McCall.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a quick question. I had called about Pine Knoll having some bad mud holes. I drove over there, and there was dirt dumped over there, and it stayed there about a week. Does the road department, or who spreads that or fills that in?
Yeah, the road department been doing it, but I think Weber got it behind. But that's another thing Mr. Jones said, at McCall, we're gonna have to put crush and run in them holes because the mud did not last after a rain.
Yes,
It become a mud hole. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, without objection, that's the last item on the agenda for new business.
This is a new thing.
Don't knock it yet.
Yeah. I think we did a 1 o'clock last time.
Candidates out there, don't get used to this, because this is not normal.
Without exception, I would like a motion to go into executive session, and we will hold the report. I think we can get that done, get back in here before 7 o'clock for the planning board.
I'll make a motion. I don't know that.
I just go in and take it.
Say either.
The three Ps, personnel, property.
Personnel, property, and pending litigation.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? We stand adjourned into executive. Back in regular session. Let the record show that. Oh, Commissioner Jones is not on the podium. She has recused herself from the next deliberation item. During the executive session, we had a letter presented to us by our attorney that this board will need to take action on if we are to exclude it from executive privilege. So I would need a motion to place that on our agenda as item number 9 to take action on it.
I'll make a motion to add an item to the agenda under new business. New business number 9, to consider waiving attorney-client privilege. I don't know how to address that.
On the attorney letter presented.
I would say waive attorney-client privilege only with regard to the matter discussed in the letter
And email.
and email.
Yes, that.
Well, and email.
And that's just to add it to the agenda. Go ahead.
Have a motion to add it to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? So added. Taking up item number 9, just added to the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
To approve the,
But I made a motion to add it to the agenda.
That's right.
Okay.
Now we are making a motion to approve number 9, which we just added to the
to
agenda.
approve the disclosure of the letter and the email presented in executive session. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Such letter will be presented to the employee that asked for it and also be made a matter of public record. Commissioner Jones has rejoined our group. We have a few minutes before planning board. Let's see if we can get the reports from the commissioner and administrative staff. Mr. Allen,
Not to be done.
you want to be first?
No, I don't have. I've mentioned some of his.
You want me to go first?
Sure. You usually take the longest.
We don't have a copy of anything tonight?
Should.
It was
Oh, sorry.
it was passed out.
Did we print that thing and put it?
And finance.
Do you have this list, this committee reports list, just below the list?
Yep.
We have it.
Yeah, there's really nothing go along with it, it's just a list, and we'll go through it real quick. Jail construction, you don't have an update because that part, as you are aware, has come to an end. There will be a ribbon cutting on Sunday, March 23rd at 3 o'clock p.m. Hope you all plan on attending that event. And I told Adam earlier, no disrespect to his project, it's a very nice one, but I don't feel this is the one that needs a ribbon cutting. The important one is Woodman in the World. We finally finished with the drainage.
Oh, wow.
4.5 years in the making, we've got 100 foot of pipe in the ground.
Right.
So we will be having a ribbon
It's a
cutting.
drain just somewhere.
It drains now, yes,
Excuse
sir.
me, thanks, Jimmy. Excuse me.
Commissioner Jones had a small part in that. So, so we'll have, excuse me, we'll be having that ribbon cutting March 23rd at 3 at the jail. Courthouse Road Extension. Most of these I just leave on there. It's the same thing we've talked about. Those proposals are due this Friday. We anticipate bringing that contract for the design services at the April 1st meeting, the next one. Paved road maintenance, we're working on invitation to bids based on the corresponding input given in the last meeting. We opened the roadside mowing at a bid opening March 14th. That contract will come before y'all on April the 1st. The courthouse in Midland,
Did that look like we thought?
it's lower than what it cost us to do it.
Okay.
Now, what we need to figure out, and we'll do at the next meeting, is it's only a savings if it's offset somewhere. However, we've talked about doing some paved road maintenance, so we may can repurpose those people, so we'll have that discussion.
Okay.
Intersection of Courthouse of Midland and Springfield Road in Clyde O'Shawnee are both the same thing. Both of the signs have been installed. These were the double indicated, larger 48-inch signs. The rumble strips have been installed on Courthouse and Midland. We have been able to get them on Springfield and Clyde because of the weather. If it'll ever quit raining, we'll get those put in. So we hope at the end of this week, if this weather moves out here. Blue Jay and McCall, again, is still on there. We expect that work to begin first of next month, next couple of weeks. The sign should be up, but you should see the actual work begin in a couple of weeks. Ash Road repair, same thing. There's the PIOH on the state route, center turn lane on the 20th of March, 5 to 7, the recreation complex. If any of y'all want to go to that. Call Road restriping, we've been talking about this for a while. Basically what I ended up doing is deciding, instead of waiting on a larger list for a lot of these roads, I've worked most of the day on putting together this restriping list, and I about have it. We're just going to put this one out separately. I mean, it's basically 17,000, 3.5 miles anyhow, so it'll make a decent job by itself. And we'll just go ahead and do this one as thermo and put RPMs, because you got all that stuff in front of the school. That's the reason it's not there now anyhow. So,
What, on this restriping, I've got that in committee reports. Stillwell Road at night, you cannot see the yellow line on it.
okay.
Is
Still
that on the
Road.
list? It needs to be on bad.
Public Works was supposed to be putting together a list overall. I just knew this one was on there. We've been getting a lot of calls from the school now because of safety, so I'll make sure Stillwell Road gets on one too.
And I'd already told you about McCall Road a couple of months ago.
Correct. Now, that's the side that's gonna be fixed when it's overlaid. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, the other side that you were talking about with the double yellows that don't make any sense and no passing,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing overlay. That'll be fixed as soon as it's overlaid.
All right, well, put Stillwell Clyde Road on that thing, and,
Stillwell Clyde,
well, it's from Springfield Stillwell and Stillwell Clyde.
the whole thing all the way
Yeah.
around?
That whole road needs restriping.
Okay. Well, Long Bridge is an overlay. Canvas to showcase the courthouse of the ACC Centennial. There's Newington Photography came out, took some really nice pictures of both of our courthouses. If you haven't seen them, the historic and the new courthouse. It is my understanding that a 4x6 canvas of one of those two will be displayed at the ACCG event in April. And apparently they're doing this for all the counties. And it's our option to purchase that at the end of the event, I guess.
I don't think they made that canvas yet.
They have not made it, and
I
that's,
think we had to pay that. I brought this before you a couple months ago, and they were going to do it. They had the pictures, but they were not going to paint the canvas unless we paid the $1,500. I think it's $1,400 if we had it by last of December or something.
correct.
But it will not be displayed unless we pay this money.
Unless we do it, and that's what.
And then after it's displayed, after April meet down there, then we can bring it
We'll
back.
get it back. And I think see, Stephanie had a
I had a
conversation.
conversation with him, Mr. Lover. It's actually one that he's very proud of, is what he told me. He said that it was one of them that he'd taken and that it was to be. He said that it was.
And they made the big
He said that
picture.
it would be displayed.
Well, they ought to just give it to us then.
This is painted or printed?
It's printed,
It's printed?
yes.
Printed.
They're
Printed on
pretty
canvas.
pictures.
Yeah, they're good looking pictures if you haven't seen them, so.
Well, we can show it. We can get it on my screen.
And
She's got the pictures of it.
we'll never get back. That's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Pushing 7. And I guess the question is, would the board like to purchase that at the end of it, if in fact it is going to be there, and we can verify that to make sure that in fact it doesn't have to be paid for before it goes. So we're just asking the board what you want to do. It is $1,500. It was $1,400 if you order by February 28th. Now, whether he'd still give us that or not, I don't
Right.
know.
Well, actually, he's willing to reduce it even further. Based on my conversation with him, he's willing to reduce it even further.
I won't say, 15, it's a 4x6? 4x6
4x6.
is,
No,
No,
4x6.
you see, that's,
Yeah, no, 4 feet, sorry.
Well, we'll see what kind of, what his bottom dollar is.
I'll get some figures from him.
What
He's
are we
actually
doing?
working on some for
We
us.
got to hang it somewhere.
Where, I mean, this
Well-
picture of what we got right over there?
1,500 is hard.
That's high. I mean, if it's hand painted, if it's printed,
Yeah.
I happen to know somebody who can do that.
Well, I actually asked him for the JPEG, and he said, well, you know, that'll kind of take away.
Well, that can be done right there. in
Right,
Rankin,
we'll
trust
see
me.
it in the sign.
I know. Yeah.
It would probably hang
Is it
in the
framed?
courtroom over at the,
No, that I don't know.
Yeah, they
to replace the one that
I mean, is it
had
ready to
on
present, I
the
guess?
Capitol.
I think it's in frame. I had the pictures of it one time, and I brought it before the commission, and nobody really even want to talk about it. It's $1,400, so it is.
I don't remember. I do remember discussing it. I don't remember seeing it.
It was before I took office, it was a couple of months ago.
It was not before you.
Let's find the best price, 1,500 is not.
I mean, if he wants to bring it, we can take a look at it, then we'll talk about it.
We can agree.
Okay.
There you go.
And obviously, that's the new courthouse, as y'all are aware. It's coming up here in front of y'all, it's gonna break your neck. It's a little funky, but, and then he has one of the historic courthouses.
Those guys great.
You know, at some of these other meetings that we had gone to, they had some of these sitting around in different counties. They're impressive. I mean, if he gets down to about $700, he'll be in the ballpark.
Looks like you got
What it's worth.
about a 2x4 courthouse and a 4x4 sky.
I'm not kidding, I'd rather the courthouse be bigger, I mean, 3/4 of the picture is sky.
And I don't know why he did that, because he didn't on the new courthouse.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
Okay.
those are the photos.
I think you can honestly tell him this board is not interested in spending $1,500 for that.
I think I've gotten that point across.
He needs to, he needs
He's
to
willing to
get
work.
reason.
Yeah.
The continuing transition of the staffing between the jail and the prison, you all will receive a memo shortly. That's been prepared. We just need to get it sent out to you. As to the status of that, if you have any questions, please call. Mr. Adam, probably knows more than I do on
Is
this.
that moving along smoothly?
Moving.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's your hands at?
It's pretty good. General Council of Brazil, and I will read this. In collaboration with Georgia Power, the Effingham County IDA will be hosting the General Council of Brazil on March 27th at the New Ebenezer Retreat Center beginning at 11 a.m. There'll be a presentation on the history of the settlement of Effingham County and Ebenezer, a tour of the museum, and lunch. So that, obviously they're asking for a larger attendance, to show our support of our community support of international trade and so forth. And several of you have responded to this. If you do intend to go, please let the clerk know so she can RSVP to Mr. Henry.
What day is March 27th?
Next Thursday of next week.
Just not sure. When's the last
That's tough
day?
first working.
How late can we give you our?
I don't know, he didn't indicate that. He didn't say in his email, he just said as quickly as possible, let him know, so. But if y'all would please let her know, because again, we're not putting this together, I don't know what the deadlines are. The last thing, I got testing services for the sheriff's office. Now, we're referring to testing as far as concrete, steel, special inspections for construction. When this project, when we received bids for that, for the testing services, I believe what we asked each individual company for was for the sheriff's office and the jail, the totality of the project. As you recall, after that project got started, it was broken into phases. It was done as just the jail to reserve funding for the sheriff's office. That would become later. That's came before y'all as a change order. We will now be beginning on the actual sheriff's office portion of it. Staff is at a quandary now. We want your guidance on whether or not we need to rebid those services for the sheriff's office portion independently, or whether you feel comfortable with us just going forward with the bid that we have for the sheriff's office. Now let's go back. Those were done as unit prices. There's a price per test. The budget was $60,000. We've expended $46 so far. So we believe, again, that initially we thought it would be for both buildings. We have called Whitaker Laboratories as the one providing that for us. There were only 2 people that responded, Whitaker and Terracon. Whitaker is the one that the board ultimately selected. And we also believe it will be beneficial because they are pretty much one project to have one testing agency go through the whole project. That's staff's opinion.
I would think so.
Just
I would think you don't have 2 different
Keep
companies.
on going.
Just keep right on the truck.
Make one person
So
responsible.
barring any objections, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna roll on with it.
Otherwise,
Thank you very much, and that's all I have.
I think you're right, no, correct, it's the same project.
Yeah.
Keep on going. As long as we're still within the budget.
Yes.
All right. Any other staff? Joanna, I've got a packet here, was this just given to us for our
Yeah,
review?
sorry about that. These are your monthly financials. You should have your monthly financials up here in front of you.
Oh, it's from you.
Well, no, sir, it's not. I'm
Through you.
Yeah, that. It's through me. I'm the vessel by which you grant it.
Is there anything in here that would captivate us that we should pay special attention to?
No, sir, I don't believe so. Just remember that we did make those changes so that you are seeing the budget amendments in there.
Right.
We basically are on target at this point. And so as you go through them, just if you note any questions or issues, please give us a call. They are for your review. We are trying to make sure that you have them on the second meeting of each month.
awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Loper, anything to bring up?
Yes, I've already talked about striping on Stillwell Road. Pleasant Acres Road, it's been bad, it's been, we've been working on that for 10 years and we never accomplished anything on it. I think they did raise the road in one place. I've got 2 or 3 calls this week about the case because they couldn't get out the driveway. I guess it's too much clay on it or something. But we need to do something with that road, keep it straight. We don't want to put no ash on it, anything other than we can help it, we'll do it, other than putting ash on it.
Right. And I'm right there with you, Mr. Logan. I have a whole list of roads on Lincoln County that, and some of them I've been in discussion with the Public Works already. The ones, the dirt roads that are clay covered, obviously the rain has been killing us this winter, the cold and rain. So Public Works has been doing all that they can. Most people are understanding of that. That live on the dirt road, they expect that to a certain extent, but they certainly want to get them fixed as soon as possible. But the ones that are of the most concern, we need to figure the ones, Union Springs and Springfield, Egypt. Those are 2 that Jerry went out and did some work on, and that's what I wanted to bring up to the board. He did some preliminary investigation and some projected costs on what he can do. Some of these we have on the list to be surfaced. Union Springs is one of the ones that's on the list to be reworked. But the problem is these ash roads they're just about to the point now that somebody in a car can't get through. So what I was asking them to do is go out and do some sort of a temporary repair to the road, whether it's filling the holes with some stone, which the road I gave you beside the railroad in Clyde, that would be the perfect solution for that, is just fill the potholes with some stone. It doesn't need to be graded and harrowed and all that, it's just those, and it's got exposed ash there. The mail truck is having difficulty getting through there to the post office, that's why I'm especially concerned. But how can we fund some of these temporary repairs on these things? And do we need to rethink costs on the one like Union Springs we've got that scheduled to come up? Rather than do what Jerry suggested, which was go in and rip the whole road and tear it up and do stone like we did on Green Morgan School Road, for you all to remember, would it be just practical to go in there with some stone and blade it into the holes, to fill in the holes until the road work starts?
We certainly can. What Jerry and I talked about was, excuse me, is the first step in most any of that is we need to get surface treatment off the top. So we go in and blade it and just see what happens. If the rain will all hold up. I am supposed to be getting with Mr. Littlefield in the next week or so to get started. So, we would hope to begin in the next couple of weeks.
Rather than what Jerry came up with, which was fairly significant amounts of tonnage of stone and all, If we just went in and just filled the holes with crusher run, then that could be utilized in the mixture later. And I would think that just 3 or 4 loads, would go a long way when filling in those places. And it's part of it is the dirt pit we talked about earlier that had been dug, the logging operation. Union Springs was just beat to pieces out here. And of course, Springfield, Egypt is a main road from the north central part of the county out, back down south. So lots of traffic on that road. So anyway, these are almost getting into the tune of emergency repairs. So unless anybody has any objection, I'd like to ask that we have the road department just do at least temporary repairs, but do it with a material other than ash.
And he certainly intends to. He and I talked after that email. It's just, again, it's been raining ever since we talked, so as soon as it quits, it's on his list to get out there.
And certainly, just like Mr. Loper was talking about, the roads, we made some effort recently in the past year or two to clay some of the roads that had been so traditionally sandy. But now with the weather that we've had, I know our phones are ringing off the hook with the clay roads, because Kiefer Hill Road is one of them. I noticed when I was coming in earlier. And I think people understand that they do want to see something as soon as the weather breaks. As far as blading the roads back, I'm trying to get past it, or better past it.
They've been calling here regularly too.
Right now, it's roads.
Yeah.
That's all I've got. We are planning board time.
Anything else? Yeah. Keeping with the same thing, Bunyan Kessler, I know, we're moving,
Bunyan, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. I know we don't play no more, but it is out. It's being advertised on our website now. It's actually out there. I don't recall the dates off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I should have wrote it down. But it is big. It'll take 30 days. It was the first meeting in May, is my recollection. The 6th or 8th is when they finally work through the process and get you off the contract.
My question, are you done?
Yeah.
My question would be then, that we had talked about, you said there was one project that had been moved one time, but
Zitzrauer Road is another one. Those two were listed separately in the short-term work program, Zitzrauer and Low Ground. Zitzrauer is about the same situation as Bunyan Kessler. In that we have went in the past and acquired right away and done the improvement. So it's actually 12-foot lanes with shoulders. If the board would like, we can certainly move that project ahead. It was in the next funding year's band is where it's included. I think, and I say this, I need to ask Joanne if we can cash flow it, but if we can move that project ahead, I would suggest we do it just like Bunyan Kessler, which was to reclaim all of that, to pull some of the dirt back into it, put 6 inches of rock over it and pave it. If y'all would like to see that, I'll go ahead.
what he was saying was everything else was ready and we should be able to do it affordably. It could be a go.
Is that right, you're saying?
Zitzrauer,
Yes.
I think we should head down that way, but we also need to kind of see how this is going to work on this first road before we go ahead and let that. I mean, we could possibly bid it, but not until we can kind of see how this works.
Did you say there was a benefit in not waiting? Did you say that?
The only downside I can see to waiting is this project won't come out till May, so I think we had 90 days, June, July, August, we'll be
Said the
finishing
cold
up
weather
at the end of
and put it off till
August.
next year.
So if we get into September, 30 days, September, October, November, it'll be in the next year, and it'll be the January, February, the cold part, which we can do the milling, we can put the base, it's not the most ideal time to pay. It almost puts it off next spring.
He said it was affordable enough. We had originally had it in to do now, and we moved it, and it's affordable enough to do it. I'd like to see it done first.
I'll prepare the bid documents, we'll come back to y'all, I'll let you know what happens, and we'll make a decision.
I just don't want to get into this other one and go, this doesn't look like it's working, and it already have.
And I believe it will based on Union Springs, is basically what we did, and Union Springs seems to be holding up other than it's exposed, so the ag gets segregated and so forth.
Did we determine on Bunyan Kessler how far we can go with the city limits around?
No, sir. I asked Wesley to try to find that information. He said he would. He has not yet done it, but he believes, as I do, that that part is in the city. That when they annexed, they came across from some point at Dasher's, at a piece that's in the northeast
So
corner.
annexation, we may not can do all of Bunyan Kessler. It may be part of it in the city of Franklin.
And we can talk about that after playing, but he did have a valid point. And
That's
part of what they just
basically-
did on Fort Howard Road was in the county too, so those improvements they did, all that in front of, they don't own any of that. just along those things, so.
Okay. Here, you got anything else?
No.
Parks? All right. Complete staff report, any other staff? All right, time for planning board. Actually, it's a few minutes past that. All right. First item, the planning board recommends denying an application by Danny Haygood to rezone 5.02 acres located at 2278 Highway 80 from AR1 to AR2, map number 364, parcel number 26 in the first district.
Yes, sir. Mr. Haygood owns the piece that's on the screen. It's approximately 14 acres, I believe. He split it in half. There were 3 homes on it, 3 structures on it when he bought it. He split it in half so he could have 1 structure in the back to rent, and then there were 2 in the front. At the time, he was considering moving into 1 and then having family. You can have 2 on two homes for family on a single parcel in AR1. At this time, as I understand it, he would like to split it again, the front piece, so each structure is on a separate parcel of land, so he can rent them. He may still live in one of them, but as I understand, he does on occasion stay in one of them as he does shift work. But he wants to be able to rent the other one as opposed to having a family member in it. And to do that, he needs to create a separate parcel. And this is the proposed division.
All right, public hearing, anyone here wishing to speak for?
Can I say something?
Do you wish to speak for?
This is Mr. Haygood.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I presume you want to
I'm
speak
getting
for.
good, and I was gonna say something about it. I have a cold, so I apologize for that. When I bought this property less than a year ago, I did not know the trailer and the apartment were rented illegally for the past 7 to 9 years. I've already split the trailer, like George said, to make it legal. I'm here today to ask to split the house and the apartment to make this legal. So the apartment, so all 3 can be occupied again. I will not be renting out the office workshop or the machine shop, just the house and the apartment. There should be no extra traffic than what had occurred for the past 7 to 9 years. Although this area is peaceful, it is noisy. You can hear IP cutting wood in the back and highway noise in the front. I have offered to put a privacy fence down the property line if the neighbors felt safer. Any questions?
So was this originally one big tract and then it?
Correct. Mr. Haygood bought a single tract of 14 acres with 3 buildings on it. They were, as I understand, all rentals at one point. The middle building is a workshop / apartment. And there's somebody living in there. There's what could be a second apartment there. Mr. Haygood has just said he will not rent that. He uses it as a workshop. Then there's a house up front, nice house up front, and then there's a mobile home in the back.
Now, from what I understand, I talked to Mr. Hager earlier today, he's just trying to make this work. He can split this up and be.
He'd be legally able to rent all 3 buildings.
He's just trying to follow the rules.
Correct.
Anyone else here wish to speak for this rezone? Anyone against? State your name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. Jerry Peelstrom. I own the property, adjoining property to the west of it, right there. My wife and I have lived there with our kids for 35 years. And the people that when we originally bought it, we bought a 45-acre plot there, and we divided it up into 13, 13, 19. He says 14, but we thought it's supposed to be 13 acres. No big deal.
Exactly.
Right. So anyhow, my sister-in-law owned the center property that he now owns, and after she sold it, the people that bought that put the shop in there, and then later on put the double wide in there for their daughter. And when they sold it, we didn't object because it was, like I said, it was for his kids and that. And so then the next couple, they bought it, and they kept the person that had the little apartment in the shop, and they kept the double wide back there, and we never said a word. Everything was going along just nice and everything. And he moved in some army buddy, and he lived in there. Well, they sold it to this gentleman, and when he first bought it, we walked over and met him, and he told us it was strictly a money-making deal that he bought it for. It wasn't to be a residence or anything else. The only reason he bought it was just for the income. And well, okay, there's 3 places on there, yeah, we'll let it go. So then he turns around and there's a shop on the end, and also they had an office at the other end. And he's going to turn the office into another residence. So we called the zoning commissioner, and he came out and said, no, you can't do that. It's multi-family and what have you. We'd like to keep it just like it is without breaking it all up and getting a bunch of other, and Lord knows if he does that, go on further back and turn it in a trailer park or what have you. But anyhow, told him, no, you can't build that into a residence, the office. So, okay, he moved someone in anyhow. So then he came up and he's wanting to break it up into petitions there, so where he can go back and stretch out the law, where we'd like to keep it just a single family resident area without turning it into a subdivision or anything else. So we respectfully ask that you go by the recommendation of the zoning board and deny it going from AR1 to AR2. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here wish to speak?
I'm Kathy Sheffield. I own the other property. I'm the other sister-in-law. It was Walton's Mountain at one time. Mr. Haygood, and I know Mr. Shaw's been out there. There was somebody living there. It was a family member he had in there, ex-family member, when he knew he wasn't supposed to have anybody in there. But I know that Mr. Shaw's been out, and it's empty now. He's removed the furniture that was in there. If we allow that to be a rental, I know that he says today, we're going to just leave the little storage unit, because I'm telling you, that's not a very big apartment. It's a storage unit that Mr. Cadman lives in, and he's been there 9 years. What's to say down the road, that shop that's got 2 bays in it, and it's got lavatory facilities, kitchen facilities, that's not split into another mini apartment? I mean, once we allow that zoning to happen, I know what he says here in front of this board, but things can change down the road, and I'd like to see it stay single-family dwelling. The big house in the front, he could rent it. It's a beautiful home. But I just, this multifamily there with our 2 single-family homes there, I would not like to see that happen, and I also would like it to be denied, as the zoning board did.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
My question is, with him doing this, is he legal within our ordinances?
Creating the 3rd lot will allow him to have 3 dwelling units, and they can all be rentals.
I understand the history, but this gentleman owns the property, and I have a problem denying him the right, if he's within our ordinance, doing what he's allowed to do by law.
There's, has anything been addressed about the health department issues, septic tanks, or anything like that?
No, I mean, I'm assuming they were all permitted originally. The house and the mobile home have been there for quite some time. The building in the middle, as I understand it, it was designed to have the bathrooms in it when it was built, so I'm assuming it had an approved septic.
But this would be creating a fourth track, correct?
No, third.
Third.
Do I understand, it's split each
The
one?
middle building has what could be 2 apartments. Mr. Haygood says he will not rent the one side, the other side is currently occupied.
He couldn't legally rent it as a duplex, could he?
Correct,
So he could do that anyway.
correct.
At that point, a call could be made and we could take
Code
action.
enforcement went down, that's how we got this whole process started. Mr. Haygood was unaware of this, of our ordinances, he lives in another county. And code enforcement got involved at the very beginning, and that's why we've gotten to this point.
So why did the planning board deny it?
They agreed with the neighbors on either side. They felt that it should stay the way it is.
But is that a reason, other than they don't want the runners? Or is there a reason?
It's not one of the
That-
reasons on the checklist, you might
that is-
discuss, that's
that
why
is
I
their-
have
Just
the checklist on
because they
there.
don't want the renters, they don't want it.
Correct. That's,
Unacceptable
that was
reasons.
their discussion.
Any other questions?
So the AR1 zoning wouldn't allow the 3 lots, the zoning that's in.
No, because they're too small. The front would be.
AR1 requires a minimum of 5 acres.
Right.
So because it's 5.02, he has to go to AR2, which allows a minimum of 1 acre.
So with this, all of it's going to be AR2.
Not the back. The large piece in the back will still be AR1.
So each lot is because of dividing in one parcel. So each of the 2 lots.
The front 2 pieces will be AR2, and the back will stay AR1.
There's no chance it could be further subdivided. He had, to address their concern, could it be further subdivided?
Not without-
Without AR1,
Okay.
Not without-
you won't have 5 acres for AR1.
In the back. In the back, you need
City.
How much, the whole thing off of 5.2 acres?
No, that's, their back is 8 acres.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
So the further subdivision, I missed what you said.
So, depending on how it gets cut, if, let's say, where the house sits, which is the very front structure, if this piece here was 2 acres, theoretically, you could cut that in half.
You could potentially get one more.
Yes.
But you'd have to come back.
No, if it got rezoned to AR2, he wouldn't have to come back to this board, he could, to bring a plat in. That's if the front was 2 acres and he wanted to put a structure in front of the house, which is a beautiful house facing the road. I don't know if he would or not.
He'd basically be limited to 3 lots on 60-foot unapproved access. He's
Correct.
Which
But
is
one could
unreasonable.
face the
It's
road.
5 acres, it's not unreasonable when you want to put a second house on 5 acres.
Right. And there are currently 2 on the 5 acres.
First district. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we do a staff recommendation and approve it with the following stipulations that are attached. I'm going to read off 1 through 4.
I'll second.
And your motion and second is to approve, not with staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Show me voting for, in favor, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Show me, I didn't vote, I didn't verbalize it, but show me as voting for approval.
So carried. Next item. Planning Board recommends approving an application by Melissa Osteen to rezone 4.96 acres located at 1862 Low Ground Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 372, parcel number 8 in the 2nd District.
This parcel is part of a much larger piece. Ms. Osteen would like to separate it out, I believe to create a home site of the wreck, so I think there is a home on it. This is the larger parcel. It's actually part of the piece across the road, and they just want to separate it out. And because it is currently under 5 acres, they do have to rezone to AR2. Staff, planning board recommend approval.
This is a public hearing. Anyone here wish to speak for this? State your name for the record, please.
Yes, I'm Melissa Osteen. What this is my parents actually owned all of this land, and so they deeded this parcel over to me as a gift deed. And because it's less than 5 acres, we had to go through the rezoning process. And so this was actually my grandparents' land, and so they just gave this site to me, and it's actually my grandparents' home that's been on this piece of land for 80 years. We are doing nothing with the land. It's just taking the smaller portion out of the, 200 acres of my grandparents' land that my parents now own, and giving it to me.
Thank God for parents and grandparents.
I know it. So that's it. And it's right there on Low Brown Road. So we have access straight off of Low Brown Road to the home.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else here wish to speak for? Anyone against? Being in the second district,
I'll make
entertain a motion.
a motion that we approve with staff and planning board recommendation being the same.
Second. Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, the planning board recommends approving an application by Lynn Jeffers Sr. for a conditional use to put a 1-acre family cemetery on this parcel, map number 415, parcel number 17 in the second district.
Mr. Chairman, in discussions at the planning board meeting, Mr. Jeffers has amended his request for a quarter-acre family cemetery after realizing with discussion of the actual size of an acre and how many bodies you could fit in there. Decided a quarter-acre was sufficient, and so the request should be for a quarter-acre at this point, and both planning board and staff recommend approval.
The recommendation is for a quarter or for 1 acre?
A quarter of an acre.
Okay.
It says 0.25.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this the same?
Is that, and that's what the planning board approved it? When was
Yes,
it?
the planning board approved for a quarter-acre cemetery.
Mr. Jeffers is good with that?
Yes, he was fine with that at the meeting, and he is here this evening if you have
Yeah, and this is just like what we've approved in the past on cemeteries as far as the requirements.
same requirements that must be platted.
Yeah.
Yes. This is
Public hearing. Anyone here wish to speak for
rough approximation.
this rezoning? State your name, please, for the record.
Lynn Jeffers. We have a piece of property, as he said, a high piece of property that don't get wet. We're getting up in age, and in other words, we was thinking about having this family cemetery there.
You decided that 1 acre you might have more company than
No,
you need?
a quarter will be enough.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Anyone else who wish to speak for? Any against? In the second district.
Motion that we approve the quarter-acre cemetery as listed with the planning board and staff recommendation that it be platted.
Second. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, planning board recommends approving an application by Riantry. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Hurst Senior to rezone 1 acre located at 655 Ardmore Ocean Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 262, parcel number 30A in the 3rd district.
Chairman, this is a large parcel of land that the family would like to cut into 3 pieces. 2 of them will remain larger than 5 acres and do not require rezoning to 1 back acre. Does require rezoning to AR2. Staff and planning board recommend approval. This is it.
Public hearing. Anyone here wish to speak for this rezoning?
You may come up and speak if you want to, Mr. Hurst. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can.
You pretty much said it all.
Come forward.
Please come up and
My name is Barry Mincy. I'm owner of the larger portion, and this is my brother-in-law Bill, and we wanted to cut him off an acre for him to do as he could. But
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here wishing to speak for? Anyone against? Third district, I'll entertain a motion.
It's in the 3rd district. I'll make a motion to approve this with planning board and staff recommendations.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item. The planning board recommends approving an application by Ben and Lori Newkirk for a variance to access a 4th lot from an existing lot, 60-foot easement, map number 440, parcel number 1, in the 3rd district.
Mr. Chairman, this is a landlocked parcel of land. It has no legal access. Mr. Newkirk has spoken to the property owners to the, well, kind of on this side over here, which is the quickest access to a road, and they were not willing to give him an easement. The easement he is asking for would create a 4th lot off of an easement. We currently allow 3 lots off of an unapproved easement. The easement would like to come from crosses his family's land, and they do not object. We come from Whitaker Road. Because Mr. Newkirk has made an effort to seek an alternative to this, staff did recommend approval, and as did planning board. I don't normally recommend this type of thing, but.
Public hearing. Anyone here wishing to speak for this?
My name's Ben Newkirk. My wife and I bought this property about 5 years ago, and now we're trying to build on it. That's all we're trying to do is build a house. So I'm trying to get access through the alternative easement. I tried the other route, and they didn't want to give me anything. So that's it.
So will this limit him from further subdividing this larger tract?
The stipulation that I recommend is that no further subdivision will be allowed without another access or bringing this easement up to county standards. Correct.
And he's comfortable with that at the time?
He's comfortable with that.
My nearest neighbor's a half a mile, so I'm not going to make a subdivision out of it. There's nothing around.
Anyone else here wish to speak for this rezoning? Anyone against? 3rd district.
It is in the 3rd district, and I'll make a recommendation, a motion to approve with planning board and staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a multitude of seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. All right. Any commissioners, any staff wish to have anything to say? That we... All right. Well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:30. Oh, I got something else.
Executive session.
Get that.
And it's not on their agenda. They get changed from February 16th and 11th, I believe, whatever the last one was. You are approving minutes for March 4th executive session.
Executive session, mine says March 4th.
No, not your minutes, your agenda.
Right.
Your agenda says February.
Okay. Time to.
Change to
On
the
your
agenda.
Consideration to
On the
approve.
executive session minutes,
Okay.
it reads February 11th to approve February 11th and 18th minutes. It should say March 4th.
I wasn't looking at the agenda. But you have to, I'm just looking in there, that you need it, okay.
That date is one thing.
I make a motion to approve the executive session minutes of March 4th, 2014.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, have I forgotten anything else?
You're good.
Now can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second.